Hey YouTube, and welcome to this video. I know it's a little later than normally, but there's a very good reason why today's vlog is later. I had a relatively long day at work because I had the chance to see Johan Wiklund speak today. Um, Johan Wiklund is an SAS pilot, and he decided in 2015, after an airplane crash, that he wanted to fly from Cape to Cape, that being Cape North to Cape, what is it, Cape of the Good Hope? Sorry, I have a cheat sheet on my phone. I took some notes during his talk. It basically flying from Cape to Cape, it's a 12,000 kilometer flight. So from all the way to the top of, is it Sweden or Norway, one of those two, to the very, very tip of South Africa. Sorry, my nose is itchy. Ugh, so annoying. And he did all of that in a old-fashioned biplane with a, I have to check the cheat sheet, sorry, what was it? 4-cylinder 6.3 liter engine with an output of 130 horsepower. The plane he flew was an authentic DH-60 Moth Major. He did, however, add a solar panel on top of the wing to power some modern equipment that would allow him to talk to air traffic controllers during his journey. Very important. Also, I learned a few interesting things. For example, this plane has a 210-liter tank, a fuel tank, and that means that with a full tank he could fly for 8 hours, which at one point put him in a quite stressy situation where his flight would be about 7 hours and he had to land somewhere on a strip of asphalt, gravel road in the middle of a country in Africa, and had to use the fuel he had in the jerry cans to just fuel up his plane, things like that. I also learned that apparently wood is still being used in airplanes today because logically wood is more flexible than steel is, leading to less wear and tear and less easier damage on some parts of the airplane. Now, also what he also told me, and I found this a very interesting fact, is that the DH-60 Moth Major is one of those propeller planes. You know, they have, like, they call it a biplane because it has double wings, but they have like the one propeller in front, and you have to manually start the plane by twisting the propeller like 3 or 4 times, which he showed us a video of it, and it's like you see in those old-fashioned like black and white movies where they, you know, crank the propeller and then have to hop into the plane before it takes off. It's kind of hilarious. They did make improvements to this plane because the problem with the old-fashioned planes was that the engines had a tendency to stop working, which is not something you want, and he also knew to tell us that the majority of pilots in World War I apparently did not die because they were shot out of the air or something like that. No, they died because the engine of their plane simply stopped working and they would crash. Now, the flight altitude of his plane is somewhere between 300 and 500 meters, which isn't all that high. And depending on how cold or warm it was, he could, you know, fly higher or lower. Depending on all that. He basically left, I think it took 42 days to fly the whole distance, and he had some very interesting adventures along the way. He wrote blog posts about every night, I think. I will put a link to his website down in the doobly-doo. The website is called capetocape.net, and there's a few interesting blog posts on there, such as 50 Shades of Brown, in which he kind of complains about the fact that he was flying over Africa in the middle of the dry season, so instead of seeing, you know, the lush green imagery you sometimes see on National Geographic, he just got the dried out version of everything. He also told about the time that he actually got arrested in Cairo on the suspicion of being an international spy, because apparently it's not allowed for you to fly, one of those tiny, tiny planes in Egypt, which I also didn't know. So they arrested him, put him in jail. It took him 30 hours to clear out the whole mess, but he was sent on his way again. Or how he knew that his route would take him over Sudan, and he went to the consulate, the Sudanese, is it Sudanese? I think Sudanese consulate in Stockholm to ask for a tourist visa. And they said, well, we don't give out tourist visas. There are no tourists in Sudan. You need to have an invitation. And then he explained about his project. And let me just tell you, when you see the guy, he's like super enthusiastic. He's like super happy. And it's very catchy. So what they did in the end was they gave him a diplomatic flight permit to fly over Sudan and to make a fuel stop, which is, when you think of it, that's a really cool thing. There's not a lot of people who get one of those. And then he was also telling us, because the plane he flew was one of those old-fashioned things, he only added the apparatus that would allow him to communicate with the air traffic controllers and a solar panel. There was a problem of maps. Now, this guy is a regular airline pilot. Like I said, he works for SAS, and he is used to having, maps readily available, so he bought a ton of maps, just the regular ones on paper, the staff cards, or whatever you want to call them. And apparently in the good olden days, pilots would have these maps either in a transparent pocket on their leg or on their arm so they could follow along on their route. Now, he made the modern concession of also having like an iPad with him so he could also track his route in real time if necessary. Like I said, it was super interesting to see him talk. He was awarded a, Pilot of the Year award in 2015 for his journey. He still regularly speaks about things, and like I said, when you see the guy, he's wearing the actual costume he wore when he flew. Now, it's a brown costume. He has a bow tie and everything. It's hilarious to see him in it, honestly. He looks like he escaped out of the 30s, and that's the 1930s, not the 2030s. And he also showed us an image of his plane crash in which he was flying another type of biplane, I think. Also, the one with the propeller in front, single engine. I think it was a two-seater thing, but it was only him that was in the airplane. And when you see that, you're wondering, how did he survive? Because the front of the plane is completely... It disappeared. It's pretty much gone. He still has 2 titanium rods and 8 screws in his back. It's a miracle the guy can still walk. His surgeon told him as much, because they, it's always a bit of a guess with spinal surgery. He also severely broke his legs, his face and stuff got all damaged and scratched up, and that's actually when he took the decision of wanting to do something like this. And it's just amazing to hear him talk. If you ever have the chance and he happens to be somewhere near you, please go and see the guy. It's a really interesting story. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and the main takeaway message that he actually gives in his talk is dare to fail. If you don't ever do anything, nothing's ever gonna go wrong, but where's the fun in that? Let's be honest. I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. I will post links to cape2cape.net and his social media down in the doobly-doo. As always, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, link for subscription is also down in the doobly-doo. And as always, have a very nice day. Bye!